Today we are taking a look at a Benchmade knife that has quite a lot of buzz going about it, the Benchmade Bugout. So let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to the GearsNTool channel, and today we're doing a quick unboxing review of the Benchmade Bugout. There's been a lot of buzz on this knife, and finally decided to pick one up and check it out for myself. So one of the reasons I do unboxings on this channel is to help you guys see if the knife that you are purchasing is a real one or a fake one. Some knives like this Benchmade, there's a lot of fakes out there, so be careful when you're buying a knife, and if your knife looks significantly different than this one, like with the box and the way it's packaged and stuff, might be a red flag that you don't have a genuine one. That's one of the reasons why I show the boxes in so many of my reviews. It helps people identify if the one that they purchased is absolutely a real one or if they need to return it. So just the end, that's what it looks like. You know, so that's classic Benchmade blue box there. And then inside, the knife comes in the typical Benchmade sack. And of course, axis lock tag. We know that Benchmade invented axis lock. It's not patented anymore, so you're seeing it on other knives, but Benchmade still does a great job with them. And then you kind of have this instruction booklet in here as well. And I don't read instructions, but I'll show you what they look like, just again, so you can kind of tell if it looks the same as the one that you got in the box that you purchased. Okay, so with the unboxing done, let's go ahead and dive into the specifications of this knife, and then what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and what the intended use case of a knife like this really is. So let's take a quick look at the size and weight of this knife. So this knife is 4.25 inches long, 1.21 inches wide, and only 0.4 inches thick without the pocket clip. So I mean, that's a really nice, small, compact package. I threw it on my scale earlier, and it came in at 1.8 ounces. So under 2 ounces, incredibly lightweight knife. And frankly, we're getting to some ridiculous weights here, guys. I mean, we don't even have a full steel liner, just the cartridge liner in there. If we got any lighter in this, you'd probably be compromising a lot of integrity of the knife, or just the stiffness in the handle and stuff like that. I mean, this is really kind of pushing it. But I think for everyday carry, this is going to be a great option. I mean, let's be honest, most of us are just cutting over open cardboard boxes and stuff like that. This is going to be more than sufficient for that. Also, just kind of a quick reminder, I measure all of my measurements with my calipers here. I don't just take the manufacturer specifications, because the manufacturer listed specs aren't always correct. So I always weigh the tool and measure them myself, so the information I'm presenting you is accurate. And moving on to the blade, Benchmade's using a 0.09 inch thick blade stock on the S30V material, and the blade is about 3¼ inches long in its cutting length. So real nice shaped blade. I think Benchmade made some smart design decisions there, both to lighten the blade and make it feel super sharp. I always feel a blade that's made of a little bit thinner blade stock just feels sharper in general. That being said, the blade thickness isn't so thin that feels flimsy. It's still what you come to expect from a Benchmade blade. So a really nice sized blade for a lightweight package like this. So let's talk about a couple of things I really like about this knife. So the first thing that really grabbed my attention are these blue thumb studs. I really like that. Benchmade doesn't necessarily do that on all their knives, and I really like that the blue thumb studs match the blue barrel spacers back here. It looks really sharp. I think the only thing that would have made this knife look a little sharper is if it was a carbon fiber handles with blue screws in there. I mean, I think that would have looked really sick, but this looks pretty good too. The shorter pocket clip's nice. I do like how deep it is, and it really fits over the edge of your pocket nicely. As you can see here, it sits all the way down in your pocket, not going to flop over the edge, and it really kind of hides away nicely. It's not going to be loud and obvious to everyone that you're carrying a knife, which is good sometimes. A couple of things that you don't really see, but it's still a nice little touch, is like the access lock here is made of titanium, which they say is to cut weight. I don't know how much weight that really saves. Just steel titanium, there's probably a teeny bit of weight savings, but it's kind of a nice touch. It makes you feel like Benchmade's paying attention to the little details, which is always a good thing. So let's just talk about a couple of things I don't like about this knife. Any honest review, you have to talk about both ends of it. So one thing I don't like about this knife is, these scales are made of plastic or the Benchmade polymer. They've been doing that with their Griptilians and stuff like that, but I really like G10 or something like carbon fiber. I would have at least appreciated it if it was an option. I would have been willing to pay a little bit more money for this form factor to have the G10 or the carbon fiber scale like you do with the Benchmade 940. Other than that, I really like this knife. I think the other compromises they made to make this knife as lightweight and compact as it is were definitely well justified. An example of that is the cartridge liner here. It does not have full steel liners, which again, when you're trying to get sub 2 ounces, you have to make some of those decisions. So overall, I'm really impressed with this knife. It's definitely going to be part of my EDC rotation during the weekends when I don't need a multi-tool. So let's talk real quick about some of the criticisms that this knife has received that I don't really feel are justified. So again, every knife has an intended use case and purpose, and sometimes people just like to pick at things. So again, use case is lightweight EDC, or maybe backpacking when you just want something light as a backup knife, for day trips, stuff like that. If you're going to be doing a multi-day trip, I would probably recommend you carry something a little bit heavier duty just in case you really need to abuse on it. And again, a couple ounces isn't going to be the end of the world. If you are really that sensitive to weight, you should probably just lose some weight. So one of the criticisms I've seen on this knife is that the handle flexes. And it is plastic, and I think it's really more people just picking on the plastic. But here I am, I'm really kind of crushing down on it, and it's not giving that much. I mean, it's giving a little bit, but it's not like it's going to pinch your fingers when you're using it. It's not going to pinch the meat of your hand, anything like that. And just for comparison, I have my Leatherman Charge with G10 scales, and it has quite a bit of flex in these scales too. And honestly, I would say this Leatherman has more flex in the scales than this Benchmade does. And being a multi-tool that has pliers and stuff on it, I would say that this is a heavier use item than something like this. So, I don't see a lot of people criticizing the G10 scales on this tool. So just kind of for perspective, keep in mind what the intended use of a particular tool is. If you're going to be doing a bunch of sideways prying and stuff with this, yeah, maybe the scales will be an issue. But you know what? You're probably going to have a lot of other issues too, because that's not what this knife is really intended for. Another criticism I've seen about this knife is people are kind of picking on Benchmade for using S30V and so many of their knives. And I'm going to side with Benchmade on this, guys. For a knife like this, you really don't need more than S30V. If you are damaging this knife to the point where, in a single use, you're ruining the edge, you're probably abusing this knife beyond what it's intended uses for. I like S30V because it's very corrosion resistant. It holds an edge well, but it's not like one of those steels where it's impossible to sharpen. I mean, yes, you probably need to have some sharpening stones, but it's not an impossible knife steel to sharpen. You can even put a field edge on it in a pinch. So good choice on the knife steel, in my opinion. One of the other criticisms I've seen on this knife is the price point. And honestly, at $120 or so, give or take, it's actually pretty reasonable for a Benchmade. And I know that's not the cheapest knife, but has Benchmade ever been cheap? You're buying a Benchmade, guys. You're buying it because you're a collector, you really just enjoy knives, or maybe this is the only knife you're gonna everyday carry every day for the next couple of years. So you want something that feels nice, feels smooth, has maybe a little bit of brand recognition where you can talk about it with people when they get out their EDC knives. So honestly, for $120, this is a pretty good deal from Benchmade. You don't see very many Benchmade knives coming in at that price point. A lot of them are $160, $200, $300 or more dollars. I just bought a Benchmade knife the other day that was over $300. So, just kind of keep in perspective what you're buying. If you want a $20 knife, that's fine. Get something out of the checkout aisle at Home Depot. I'm sure it'll work just fine for you. But for everyday carry, something you want to be proud to have, this is a really good option. I'm gonna be carrying this every day for the next few weeks, and honestly, it'll probably end up in my permanent rotation for weekend carry. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button below. It really helps the channel out a lot. And if you want to see what I carry every day, hit that subscribe button so when I release that video in a couple weeks, you're the first to be notified. Cheers.